everybody, and welcome to another edition of Magic Mics, proudly sponsored by our Patreon supporters and CoolStuffInc.com, CardHoarder.com, Alter Sleeves, Cardamajigs, as well as Twitch subscribers and Patreon supporters like you. I am Evan Irwin, and we get started each week by saying hello to my two co-hosts, MTGNerdGirl.
Hey, guys.
Reuben Bressler.
Hi, everyone. How's it going? Long time no see.
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
I mean, they had commander bannings, happen right after we last spoke to the peeps.
They had commander bannings, historic bannings. A lot's happened in the 3 weeks. 2 weeks? 3 weeks.
Couple weeks, yeah. I think it's been 3 total in terms of between last time and now. Either way, we're here. We're making it happen. Welcome to the show. We're glad you can hang out with us. We can get off with our first pick in our giveaway. Get your chance at a $50 gift certificate to CoolStuffInc.com by typing !raffle in the chat. But subscribe first to get 2 chances to win. And don't forget our raid into the show to support a member of the community. Enter your suggestions at the end of the show to see who we raid tonight. And if you listen to the podcast, I know you never hear those things, but I promise you they happen. That is thanks to our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com. You can find cool stuff in stock every day. And now, for the first pick. So the first pick is based around the title of this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Hi. First thing I do want to note that while a lot of things did happen, one thing that was definitely happened that we mentioned was a family emergency. I had a death in the family. Yes, it sucked. Yes, it was awkward. Yes, it was terrible timing, but death never has good timing. And those who think that I would make it up are just horrible people, and you're horrible, and I'm sorry. But regardless, it did happen. I know, right? It did happen, and it does suck. And but we're still here. And in terms of basically, the elephant in the room, what happened to Erin. We talked to Erin. Erin had her own struggles and problems. Feel free to Google those if you want to read all about them. But at the end of sort of part of that period, and again, this is where I had to leave and I had to go to Tennessee and stuff, she said that she would like to step away from the show. She no longer had an interest in doing so. And we confirmed with her that was what she wanted. And Erin is nothing if not wonderfully clear and blunt when she wants something. And so we respected those wishes, and we wished her well, and obviously we hope she does well and that she's good in the future. That said, we want to introduce here officially MTGNerdGirl to the live show. How you doing?
Not too bad. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, tell everybody about you. What do you do? What are you doing around here?
Oh boy. I do all sorts of things. I stream full time. I do some YouTube content. I compete in Magic at some of the highest levels that I can possibly get onto for sure. And you guys have seen me around Twitch, and I've been sponsored by Cool Stuff for quite a while. So this is just another part of the Cool Stuff family, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've been sponsored by Cool Stuff as well since more or less the very beginning, which has been great. And we are very happy to have you. We certainly appreciate you being on the show.
Awesome.
So let's move on here to Gather the Townsfolk. They decided to put almost 800 cards into Arena. They call this Jumpstart Historic Horizons, which is coming August 12th, which brings hundreds of cards from Modern Horizons, Modern Horizons 2, and 31 new to Magic cards. Oh, we're just getting started. I guess let's start here first and talk about, did either of you guys get to play Jumpstart, and how do you feel about the original Jumpstart?
I love Jumpstart. I mean, I think it's an absolutely genius product. It solves a lot of the problems that Magic corporate was having with selling Magic product, while still making the old hats who like limited happy. It makes it so easy to walk into a game store and immediately start playing Magic, which was a big problem, and it was a bit of a barrier for entry, because either you have constructed, where you have to bring your cards from home, or you have limited, which can take a little while, 30 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour sometimes to build a sealed or a draft. Not to mention the fact that you need a group usually to draft, and sealed isn't exactly the most, entry level thing. The dual decks were fine, but they didn't really have that, create something yourself or create something new aspect. And Commander was kind of filling that niche, but again, that was sort of a creative, outlet. And Jumpstart really is just the combination of all of the things that you want in a product to get someone to play immediately, to walk into a game store and start playing. The fact that it came during a time when everyone was in their houses is really unfortunate, because as big of a success as Jumpstart was, it would have been 10 times bigger had we been able to walk into a game store and play with these. I'm excited that the project is continuing, and I want more Jumpstart every year forever.
I think Jumpstart was really fun. I think it's a great way to get new players into the game. It is super new player friendly in that, like, it introduces the mechanics to you very slowly. Like, let's say it was one big set where you were to draft or do sealeds. I can't imagine a new player being able to deal with tokens and the cats and the dogs and the birds and the whatever and all of the different mechanics mixed into one. But this allows them to tackle each one individually in a way that is not so overwhelming, which is really, really cool. My biggest concern is with the monetization of it on Arena, with the reprints having like the different set symbol, which is a bit weird to me. So that, I think, is going to hurt it overall. People are going to have a little bit of a bad taste in their mouth when it comes to like how they actually can acquire those cards digitally, which might, just make people overall a little bit more down on it when it comes to like the paper versions. Well, but overall, I love it. I think it's a great tool.
One of the things that I liked, I loved it. I voted it for as like the best idea they had all year. They won the Magic Laxies for the best WotC idea, and Wizards is obviously, they've been planning this since like a year ago, so they knew that Jumpstart was terrific. And to me, it was, I've definitely heard, in the halls of Wizards that, nobody knows what a draft is, and no one actually drafts except like, the 1%ers that we hear about, on social media or whatever. But this is almost like limited by numbers. This is, you take A, you take B, you slap it together. And I think at one point I'd said I would not be surprised if they did, a partner commander and 49 cards and a partner commander and 49 card packs, and you slap them together, you shuffle them, and all of a sudden you got a commander deck, and how do those things go back and forth? This is, and we'll get into the mechanics and stuff here in a minute, but one of the things I did want to note was they specifically programmed in the fact that if you haven't seen a Jumpstart pack before, they will show it to you. My most frustrating aspect with the first Jumpstart was there were mythic and rare and common packs or whatever, and I would not get the mythic one, so I had to go craft certain mythics or certain cards, or I never saw certain mythics or certain cards because I just didn't open them, right? And so to programmatically say we will always show you a new one if you haven't gotten it yet, then that to me is fantastic. So at least now I know if I run through the event over and over and over, if I do it long enough, I'll get everything.
Yeah. Well, the problem is that not all of the cards are guaranteed to be open in that pack, right?
True.
Some of the like mythic cards within a specific pack only have a 33% chance to show up. So there is some variation within that pack. So if you want a play set of that rare card, you're only going to get it 1 out of 3 times. You want 4 of them. How many times do you need to draft that pack? That is a heck of a lot of card acquisition.
And the idea that they're going to add cycling lands or multicolored dual lands based on the makeup of your deck, and you get those automatically, which I thought was kind of cool. And they also don't show you packs. When you pick your first pack, they're not going to show you a second pack that's going to make you a 4-color mess. Like, they're going to show you things that will work within whatever colors you're already chosen, which I also thought was terrific. But we got to talk about the mechanics. The mechanics for this Jumpstart basically bring us into Hearthstone, Eternal type territory. These are online-only cards, brand new cards, brand new art, brand new stuff. The first mechanic is Seek. That is a tutor that does not shuffle your deck. It just grabs the card and it goes. And I don't want to talk about weird corner case stuff. Just imagine it's in your deck, and it goes and gets in your deck. Perpetual, which is that card object, that singular card object will be changed for the rest of that game, just that game. So if you're in best of 3, it's only for one of the games. But whether it's a multi-face card, you can change stuff on both sides of those. Again, permanently goes to the graveyard, goes to exile, you bounce it. It's always going to have those changes. And then Conjure actually creates cards out of thin air. And we might as well get started on some cards we wanted to chitter chat about. I'll look up here Shoreline Scout. Now, Shoreline Scout is it's a heck of a Magic card, as soon as I can find it here. Shoreline Scout is a 1 blue mana, 1/1 uncommon Merfolk Scout that says, when it enters the battlefield, you may exile a Merfolk card or a land card from your hand. If you do, conjure a tropical island card into your hand. As long as another Merfolk or an island entered the battlefield under your control this turn, Shoreline Scout gets +1/+0. This card is bananas. This card is absolutely ridiculous. This card fixes your mana. And if you only have a 1 land hand, you just exile a Merfolk. That's absolutely ridiculous. It fixes your mana perfectly. Like, this is the 1-drop that you're going to play if there's a Merfolk deck. Here it is.
I would be interested to see somebody call Frank Karsten, because we need the Once Upon a Time math again on how many lands does 4 Shoreline Scout replace, right? Because all you need is, like, if you have 2 Shoreline Scouts, you exile one of them, and then you have your extra land. It's pretty insane, right?
Yeah, it seems ridiculous in that you're getting your dual land every time you see this in your opening hand, which is fantastic.
Lets you play your Lord on turn 2.
Yeah. NERDGirl, how high do you value this type of effect?
Well, so you guys know me, I'm the limited expert, so I'm assuming only half my deck is going to be Merfolk, so probably not quite as highly as you guys, but I mean, this does seem like a really, really great addition to the Merfolk deck, which is, you know, my friend Prof is very into that deck and this particular archetype, so I think it's really neat.
Mm-hmm. So the next card I wanted to talk about here was Diregraf Colossus is showing up. This thing shows up from, was with Shadows over Innistrad, I believe it was, or I think it was, yeah. So Diregraf Colossus, black and 2 generic mana for a 2/2 rare zombie giant. When it enters the battlefield, with a +1/+1 counter on it for each zombie card in your graveyard, and whenever you cast a zombie spell, you put a black 2/2 zombie creature token onto the battlefield tapped. Collected Company says, what's up? I'm all about them zombies. There's a good zombie mono black aggro deck going on, and I would be happy to see this monster show up with it.
I mean, it won a Pro Tour. Like, what else can you say? I mean, it's got the pedigree. Showing up in Historic is going to be good and interesting, and I'm on board. Collected Company is already the most popular card. I'm not sure that this mitigates that problem, but I mean, I like zombies. So
I mean, I'll take it.
This card seems really awesome, and there's like a ton of things that can put like a bunch of stuff in your graveyard, even leading up to turn 3. So I think that's going to be kind of nuts.
Yeah, like when half your deck is zombies, you're still pretty excited about this, right? Like, still okay playing this on turn 3. Seems pretty good. The last card. Actually, go ahead and give me just a second while I pull this up. I want to make sure I pull up all the weird things that Davriel does.
Oh my God,
it's a lot. So let's see. Look him up on a wiki here, because I gotta give the wiki thing, because otherwise, how am I supposed to know how this all starts? Okay, so Davriel Soul Broker. Let's get a load of this one. It's seriously. Davriel Soul Broker, which I get to find here awkwardly in front of God and everybody. Thank you very much. Fantastic. Davriel is right there. Okay, so Davriel Soul Broker, so you can see the card in it itself. It's 2 black, 2 generic mana for a 4 loyalty legendary planeswalker Davriel. Of course, it is mythic. Has a +1 that says, until your next turn, whenever an opponent attacks you and or planeswalkers you control, they discard a card, and if they can't, they sacrifice an attacking creature. -2, accept one of Davriel's offers, then accept one of Davriel's conditions. I'm still sad this isn't terms and conditions. It's offers and conditions, but whatever. Yeah. And we'll go over those in a minute. And -3, target creature perpetually gets -3/-3. This thing has already been banned in Historic Brawl because they're like, this is way probably too good than it should be in that regard. But Davriel Soul Broker has so many offers. It offers you 3 cards. This is a random ability. So you'll get 3 cards. You'll conjure a Man or Guardian card into your hand. I'm not even sure what that is. Return 2 random creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. They perpetually get +1/+1. Return a creature card with the highest mana value from among cards in your graveyard to the battlefield. You get an emblem with creatures you control get +2/+0, or you get an emblem with spells you cast cost 1 black less to cast. You get an emblem with Davriel planeswalkers you control have +2 draw a card. Or finally, you get an emblem with quote, whenever you draw a card, you gain 2 life. Whew! So you get something out of that list. But here's what you also have. You have to either lose 6 life, or exile 2 cards from your hand. If fewer than 2 cards were exiled this way, your opponent draws cards equal to the difference. You sacrifice 2 permanents. Each creature you control perpetually gets... each creature you don't control perpetually gains +1/+1. You get an emblem with creatures you control get -1/-0. You get an emblem with spells you cast cost 1 black more to cast, or you get an emblem and whenever you draw a card, exile the top 2 cards of your library. Or lastly, you get an emblem with quote, at the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life for each creature you control. That's a lot, but it's a super cool ability that makes me excited to try it.
I mean, if there's one thing new players needed was more complicated planeswalkers.
Right.
Jiminy Christmas, I don't want to have to explain this to a new player.
Yeah, this is a lot. Let me bring out the terms, the offers and conditions, so we can go over those one more time.
Yeah. There's an ability similar to this in Hearthstone called Discover.
Okay.
Where, the creature comes into play, or the minion comes into play and says, like, discover a spell that costs 2, and then some random spells appear in your hand. And that's kind of what's happening here. It's a lot, and also simultaneously trying to hide all of that a lot, right? I love the sentence, agree to one of the terms and agree to one of the conditions. I think that, or accept the terms, or accept the offers and accept the conditions. I think that is a excellent sentence of rules text. And I think that it is simple enough in just looking at that card and how it will play online. If you don't really think about what they are, then it's going to be fine. As soon as you have to read all 8 of each, you're going to be like, I can't anymore with this.
It offers you 3 options, both offers and conditions. And NERDGirl, correct me if I'm wrong, this thing looks absolutely ridiculous and limited. This thing seems... bananas.
I mean, even the weakest planeswalkers are amazing in limited, but I will say we did see an effect very similar to this where it's like something good and something bad, which was the Strixhaven Silverquill Dragon did something very similar where it was like you get a big buff and you give them a token, or you draw a card and you give them a thing. So it wasn't a list of negatives and a list of positives. It was just 3 positives and you had to give 1 to them and 1 to yourself. So it was a very unique dynamic in that in limited, the card is powerful, but knowing which to choose and when was the difficult part. And oftentimes the correct choice was none of it, which I think a lot of players, have trouble seeing. But yeah, it's going to be absolutely bonkers in, I think, most formats.
Yeah. Fortunately for this card, you can also just permanently and perpetually kill something, even if they try to reanimate their 3/3 after it's already died. Also, it's a 4 loyalty, 4 mana planeswalker that'll just stick around forever.
It's got a million options, and that sounds really powerful. So, all right, let's move on here to your list. REUBEN, what you got?
Well, there's a bunch of really powerful things, and I wanted to start with Managorger Phoenix, which it reads really overpowered. Might merely just be powered. It is a red flyer for 2. It's a 2/2 red flyer. So 2 mana, 2/2 flyer. They can't block.
Okay.
So we're getting decent stats.
Welcome turn or whatever with an extra toughness.
Right.
Sure.
Exactly. There's a black knight from Throne of Eldraine that adventures that has similar. It's like Order of something. In any case, it's a Phoenix, so it does something from your graveyard.
Here we go.
Whenever you cast a spell, if Managorger Phoenix is in your graveyard, put a flame counter on Managorger Phoenix for each red in that spell's mana cost. If Managorger Phoenix has 5 or more flame counters on it, return it to the battlefield, and it perpetually gets +1/+1. So, you play it on turn 2, it dies. Later, you play another Managorger Phoenix, a burn spell, and a conspicuous stoop. This comes back as a 3/3, and it dies again. Then you play a Chandra's Phoenix and another Phoenix and another burn spell. Then it comes back as a 4/4. If you're playing this in just a mono red deck, which I assume you are, because it's a red 2/2,
right?
Then it's going to come back a lot, and each time it's going to be a bigger and bigger threat. And flame counters on it in your graveyard is pretty adorable.
I mean, if I am reading this correctly, once you bring it back the first time and it dies, you can play any spell with just one red pip in it, and it's going to come back again with another perpetual +1/+1 on it. You don't have to get 5 every time. Once you get the 5, you'll be adding the 6th. And then once it dies again, you'll be adding, because as far as I know, these counters don't go away.
The flame counter on Managorger Phoenix for each red in that spell's mana cost.
Oh, the counter's not perpetual, says Pharmacist Judge. Okay, fine. Deflate
I
the
don't
balloon.
know. I mean, it is... counters leaving as they come into play from a graveyard is a little sketch. I don't know exactly.
It's not really expecting that, but that's okay.
If Pharmacist Judge says it, then I'm on.
Then it is the rule. All right, go ahead with your next one.
There are other cards in this set that give perpetually flying, so I would assume that if those counters were to stick around, it would specify.
Mm-hmm. It's fair.
My next card is Davriel's Withering, which is a 1 black mana instant, and it very simply says target creature perpetually gets -1/-2. This card is very important for a very specific reason, and that reason is Arclight Phoenix. Perpetually leaving an Arclight Phoenix in a graveyard at instant speed for 1 black mana. I think this becomes pretty much immediately one of the best 1-mana removal spells available in Historic.
Of all time. I mean,
yeah,
crazy. First of all, this was banned already in Brawl, Historic Brawl, because this card's obviously pretty bananas. I also would expect that if we ever have our first ever digital errata, and I assure you we're going to get digital errata at some point because Wizards have always wanted to turn those knobs, this could be 2 mana. I could see this at 2 mana because it's just so crazy good.
They could also alter the Brawl rules to be like if it goes to the command zone, it doesn't keep perpetual effects or something like that.
Yeah, but that would be gross. That'd be really messy.
Yeah, it'd be very complicated and unnecessarily weird.
Yeah. NERDGirl, how do you feel about this removal spell?
I mean, it seems a little, for limited purposes, it seems a little underwhelming just because the perpetual part is not quite as important. It is more like, it's a smaller stat than I would expect to see for it to be exciting, but it is not an enchantment, so it can't be bounced off or anything, so that's nice. But I think I would rather have something with a little more oomph that wasn't perpetual personally for limited purposes, because you're not recurring things as often, so that's not as important. I'd rather just deal with the creature. So
let's talk about your list here, NERDGirl. What's your first card?
Wait, I got one more.
Oh, you do? I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
How dare you?
How dare I?
I've been replaced, and it's only been 24 minutes, and I've already been shoved out. My last card is Skyshroud Ambush, which I wanted to talk about because we don't really know what this card does yet. Colorless and a green instant. Target creature you control fights target creature you don't control. When the creature you control wins the fight, draw a card. I don't think we've ever seen that wording before.
We've never. I was watching the stream and I was distracted a little bit at the time, so feel free, chat, if I got this wrong, but wins the fight means the creature that it fought died. And there are a ton of weird rules things about trying to say that in a succinct way. And that, basically, you would have to do things like, the creature it fights gains if this creature were to, go to the graveyard from play, you draw a card, all this other crap. Or you just say, look, it's a wins, and they won, and they're winners. So I think your creature has to survive, theirs does not survive, and it dies. It doesn't get exiled. Again, I'll double on that, but
it's a little hinky because creatures die to state-based effects and not to damage, but it's...
Right, and if they both die, you didn't win because your creature's dead as well, so you didn't win the fight.
This is one of these cards that it's like Anime Debt, where it's like, oh, I get thematically what they're going for, but when you try to turn it into words, it's just awful.
I don't know. I mean, NERDGirl, do you have any issues with this at all? It seems so straightforward.
I mean, I have no issues with it because, I mean, I definitely get what they're trying to do. I feel like they're trying to keep the complexity part of Magic, but give it this more Hearthstone-y feel with a lot of these cards, which, you know, you could be for or against, but like, I get what they're going for with this card, so I'm just gonna give the card the benefit of the doubt, I suppose. Yeah.
You know, and to back up a second and talk about, you know, digital cards and digital cards are bad or whatever. It's like they've already had digital cards. One of the coolest things to come up during the stream today of the weekly MTG thing was putting the Chandelar cards in Arena. And I'm like, oh my god, NERDGirl, if you didn't know, Chandelar was a game from the 90s that you could play Magic, and it was kind of bad, but it's like, it's bad in that nostalgic way. Like, you remember walking around and getting in random Magic battles, and you would win cards from people, and you could play all the Moxes and a bunch of like vintage weird stuff. And it still had all the old Magic rules and stuff. But it was just kind of silly, and that's a way that you can kind of call back that stuff. But it also demonstrates that there were digital cards more than 20 years ago, and we were fine then, you know. And there's Commander cards that aren't on Arena, and that isn't in the world. And, you know, there's lots of different places sort of cards can be unset silver bordered cards that just doesn't break anything. It's just a different way to play Magic wherever you play Magic. And I'm okay with that.
I am also okay with it. As a content creator, I get a lot of people saying, "Oh, Magic is a better game than this and this." For, you know, I don't believe that there's one game to rule them all. If I had to choose to only play one for the rest of my life of the card games, it would definitely be Magic. I enjoy it the most, but I can also enjoy other games and other Magic formats for what they are. Now, they're not all for me, and I just would prefer not to play them, but that doesn't mean I think that they shouldn't exist. So, like, when people say, you know, Hearthstone's too simple, always play Magic. But, like, I don't know, sometimes I'm at the airport and I only have, you know, time for like 2 seconds and I want to not commit. So that's an okay to have a light and frothy thing for people to enjoy. Now, it might not be your thing, but like, I can enjoy it for what it is, I guess.
There you go. All right, so let's go ahead to your list here. NERDGirl, what you got?
Okay, so it looks like I went off of the official Magic card database, and they're not up to date. So I have a smaller pool. Some of your guys's weren't on my list. So my first one was the Mentor of Evos Isle, which is a 2/1 flyer for 3 mana. And when it enters the battlefield, choose a creature in your hand and perpetually give it flying. So the reason this kind of stood out for me, all of my cards are basically new mechanics that are similar to other games, where I feel like all other games in the past have always imitated and watered down Magic mechanics. This is the first time I'm really starting to feel like Magic is doing the reverse, where they are, you know, kind of leveling up some of the easier going mechanics from other games. So, you know, you see a lot of this, especially in Legends of Runeterra, where you'll affect the cards in your hand. And that'll happen permanently, which is really, really interesting to me.
I mean, and this ability in limited is huge, right?
This is an insane limited card. It's got to be.
Yeah.
I mean, giving your, you know, big dumb idiot flying forever seems really good, because you play this, it's already a threat, a 2-power creature for 3 mana. I mean, it's got you know, a little less butt than I would like to see for it. 3 mana, you're usually getting like a 2/2 for 2. Or I'm sorry, a 2/2 for 3. But then later on, your Dreadmaw Colossus is coming down as a 6/6 flyer for the same mana cost, and that is just nutty.
That's fantastic. All right, what's your next card?
My next card is Bounty of the Deep, which is a little less exciting than the Mentor, I think. But I thought it was a really cool mechanic in that it is a 3-mana sorcery draw spell. So you're looking at the same mana cost and stats as like a divination. But if you have no lands in your hand, you seek for a land card and a non-land card. Otherwise, you seek 2 non-land cards. So it's just like a more unique divination in that, like, it's kind of helping you ramp up more. So it's guaranteeing that you're hitting those land draws if you don't have them. But it's also not punishing you if you have land in your hand. It's ensuring that the draws you're getting off the top aren't land. So, you know, if your deck doesn't want lands, this is maybe not the thing for you. But if it does, it gives them to you when you need them, and it doesn't give them to you when you don't need them. And I thought that was a really cool mechanic.
Oh, I think it's brilliant. And the seek mechanic does not show your opponent the cards that you're getting in any way, because the computer knows what to seek and that it's not going to be, some weird cheaty face stuff. But, the idea that, gosh, I'm flooded with lands, I get 2 non-lands. Oh man, I need that last land drop. This gives it to you right there. Like, this card is dope.
Yeah.
Yep.
The floor on this card is a little lower than Divination, I think. But the ceiling is way higher. Like, the floor is, you're hellbent, so you have no cards in your hand, so they seek a land for you. That's kind of unfortunate. So this is like kind of a worse top deck. But in every other circumstance, this is a better card.
I mean, you have to kind of add into the fact that, like, if you're getting 2 random cards, you're getting at least, like, 0.7 of a land out of, if you cast that Divination 100 times. So, like, 50-50 is pretty close to a Divination.
Absolutely. I mean, I think I'd rather have this card than Divination 100% of the time is it seems tough to say 100% of the time, but it's pretty close.
Fair enough.
If you are running this, especially in limited, I will say it's like, be a little bit more mindful of possibly holding on to that last land. I mean, it's usually a good habit in most decks and formats anyway, but if you top deck this, it ensures that you're drawing 2 cards, which really raises that ceiling on a divination type spell.
All right. And what is your final card?
We got a green card. Pool of Vigorous Growth is a 2-mana artifact. Pay X and tap, discard a card, create a token that's a copy of a random creature with mana cost X. Activate only as a sorcery. Now, this is something you actually see a ton of in Hearthstone, in that you can, you summon a portal and it gives you poops out a random creature that's not something that's even in your deck. It's just completely random. And for those of you guys who don't like the die roll stuff in limited, where it's like, kill a creature, don't get a treasure, kill a creature, get a treasure, and you think that's too random, this is going to hurt you. It's going to produce big scary flyers against you, but it will always give you puny 1/1s for 6 mana when you play it, I'm sure.
Yeah, this is Momir Vig on activated ability. This is also one of those cards that they can only do in a digital environment, which is cool. And yes, you can do it in a non-digital environment if you jump through enough hoops and you make enough tables or spreadsheets or whatever. But in the real world, we want to do this on a digital platform so it can surprise us and create awesome stories.
My longtime co-host of In Contention, Matt Cranstuber, built a cube for Momir, and so that you could play live Momir with paper cards, and it had a lot of proxies in it, but we did that for a while. This would be horrendous to try to do today because they've printed just twice as many cards as they did 10 years ago or whatever. But it is going to be a ton of fun to be able to throw this out there and spin the wheel of destiny and hope for the best. So I'm looking forward to activating this, even if it is the most random card.
Yeah, it is incredible. So overall, we're going to move past this, but Jumpstart Horizons, Historic Horizons, will be released on August 12th, and we may talk about more cards next week. We'll see as they continue blowing up that format and the ways that they do so. Moving on here to look at what Wizards is going to be doing. Oh, goodness. On August 24th, feel free to check the date on that. I'm guessing it's a Thursday. But on August 24th at 8 a.m., they're going to have the Showcase 2021. This is where they talk about 2022 stuff. Wizards, I think, has kind of settled on this. First of all, it's an announcement of announcement. I don't care because it's good to know, and it gets us talking and excited about what's going to happen. And secondly, they need something to just throw out the stuff that they're doing. Wizards does so much stuff, and they've only made more stuff as things have gone along. And now there's this Universes Beyond, and there's Secret Layers, and they're making money like crazy, which we'll get to here in a little bit. And so to have a showcase is nice. We know when to show up and what they're going to talk about.
I'm having trouble keeping up with everything that's going on, and my viewers are telling me things that I just literally had no clue about. the prices of things are changing so quickly that like there's no way I can possibly keep up with it. And for you guys like that work a little bit closer with the actual product than I do, like I'm just amazed. I have no idea how you guys do it. One of my examples for that is like that care package that the creators got. Mm-hmm. Someone's like, oh, that card's worth a bajillion dollars. I was like, oh, I had no idea I was going to put this in my closet.
Oh, sick. Yeah, because the foiling is different on the Signets than the actual secret layers that you're going to get for the foiling on the Signets. And turns out that's just a thing they did and didn't think about. And somebody changed it, and here we are.
I would have never noticed.
So, Magic is making money.
Lots of it.
Just a ton. I mean, look, I throw money into the fire, ever so often, usually during set releases, but goodness gracious, these numbers they had on the Hasbro earnings call. This was the Q2 2021 earnings call, and the Hasbro CEO said that Wizards revenue more than doubled when compared to Q2 2019. More than doubled in 2 years. Hello, Secret Lair. What's up? How you doing?
Is it all Secret Lair based?
It's not.
Is it,
it's everything.
If you recall, Q2 a year ago was big pandemic time.
It was pandemic sadness, but they still sold okay.
They still sold okay.
Yeah, Wizards has never dropped. It's always been an upward trajectory. It's just
double is still ridiculous.
It's still ridiculous, particularly when you think of, they went through this whole pandemic thing, but they've also made a ton more products. They've dealt with all of the shipping problems, and at the end of the day, like everything's been a hit. And that's clearly what we can see here. So, there you go. Arena is up quite considerably, as you would expect, which is crazy. And they go over their net revenues and their operating profit. Their operating profit margin is 47.5%. I cannot explain to you. That's like pharmaceutical levels. Like, that's like cosmetic levels. That's like stupid. That's like drug dealer level. It's dumb. None of that makes any sense. Because
I'm super confused. Didn't they just take a bunch of money out of a prize pool because they didn't have it or something?
Yeah, which we then had to complain about a lot, and then they finally gave it back in terms of appearance fees. Yeah. And then that was a problem because then they didn't tell people about it, so they didn't know to care about it. But yeah, I already lost my mind over that one.
Yeah, jeez.
Yeah, this is and this is what sucks, right? Because like if you were to reboot the organized play program, I assure you there's people out there who can do so. Wizards has not entrusted the correct people to do so, which has kind of been the problem. But you're still just going to take a little tiny slice, just a itty bitty slice, and you could run millions of dollars of tournaments, and they would not feel it at all. They wouldn't even think about it. They'd still have just as good earnings, just as great growth. And now, once you remove that marketing expense for organized play, they're going to look even better. Like, it's going to look like it was the 100% right thing to do, because now they don't waste that money on high-level organized play. And we'll see how that works out for them. That said, we got to keep moving. We got so much to talk about. Goodness gracious. I mean, for example, they suspended Brainstorm and Historic was one of the things that happened. Thank God. We don't want Legacy 2.0. Yeah.
And, even though we don't have fetch lands in Historic, the ability to replicate it with, among other things, Fabled Passage was too powerful. They banned Time Warp first, which was inexplicably bad. The win rates of Brainstorm decks were just so much higher in every capacity, particularly amongst the pro levels, and the deck selection was mangled and leaned in that direction because of that. There's a lot of reasons to get rid of Brainstorm, and finally they made the right decision.
I'm honestly so surprised that it was in there. I had no idea how that would get printed, but I mean, it sucked in limited, so I didn't really care.
They took away Lightning Bolt and they took away Swords to Plowshares. Brainstorm's okay, and we're like, no, Brainstorm's not okay. Brainstorm decks just completely crushed everything, and they finally got rid of it. But whatever, it's suspended or whatever, so you don't get wild cards back because it's not banned, which I think is just complete ridiculousness at this point. But whatever. Speaking of banned cards, they banned the Book of Exalted Deeds in Standard 2022, which has been interesting. The most winning deck, according to Untapped.gg in Standard 2022, is the White-Black Angels deck. And I've actually been playing it a lot. This is really cool. All the White-Black Angel cards from Kaldheim are sick. And yeah, it's very, very strong. I've been very happy with it.
The Saga was nuts.
Yeah, you play for the Saga, you play for that thing that makes them sack a creature when one of your angels dies, and for the Starnheim, the mythic that makes angels, that thing, and it's good clean living, let me tell you.
Yeah.
So let's move on here a little bit. So weighing in the show a little bit, I'm not too hyped to talk about any of the rest of the Gather Townsfolk topics unless you guys absolutely want to call it out. For example, I will 100% call out that Ristic Studies, Sam, makes awesome videos, is now officially a doctor, a PhD of Italian studies from UT Austin. Congratulations to him. Yeah, obviously very proud of him.
One of the most prolific and decorated YouTube creators, makes beautiful stuff. Took a pretty long time off to get his PhD, and I'm hopeful, and I think that he said that he would go back to full-time content creation if his Patreon numbers were up enough. So if you have the opportunity and would like to see that happen, go check out Ristic Studies and see if you can add to that number.
Yeah, he's last I saw, the Black Lotus video was up to like 2 million views or something, which was terrific because he put a lot of time work in that one. All right, moving on here to Desperate Ravings. But as we do, check out our altar sleeves. Let me tell you right here. Get them on the sleeve right now. We can support the show by using the code MAGICMIKES at checkout for 5% off anything in the store, including a set of exclusive sleeves featuring the Magic Mikes crew at altersleeves.com/MagicMikes. As we move on here to Desperate Ravings, as we briefly touched on, Hullbreacher was banned in Commander. Yes, this is a little old for us, okay? A little couple weeks behind. But it was very important to mention that Hullbreacher was a terrible design. I didn't like it. I never really understood it, and I'm glad it's gone. Even if it's a format I don't even play, and I just recognize how annoying that card has to be to play against.
Yeah, I got Hullbreachered the Saturday before this ban came down. It was not a good experience. I did not have fun.
You take your Wheel of Fortunes, you take your Hullbreachers, you put them together, and everyone hates you. That's how it worked. All right, let's move on here to, well, we did talk about those influencer secret lairs. That's really cool. Congratulations, NERDGIRL, on getting a set of those, as I understand it.
Yeah, they're sweet.
They're super dope looking, let me tell you.
I think I'm gonna do some of it, give some of it away for charity or something. I haven't quite decided what I'm doing with it yet, but.
Yeah, I would have that, particularly many years ago, I would have that sort of feeling, like Wizards send me something, I'm like, I think I'm just going to give it away. I don't really I want it, but in many ways, I feel like it'd do me better if I just, toss it out to the fans and let them enjoy it,
Yeah, I'm not really sure what to do with some of it. I feel like a lot of it would be really cool, like promotional collector items. And I'm not like a huge collector. So I think it would, someone else would be very happy with it, and I think then I could do something very good for charity along the way, so that'd be cool.
Yeah, that's great. Really, really fast, Ultra Pro did note that you got to be on the lookout for counterfeit goods, particularly if you order from Mr. Bezos. You did it because Nice. Jeffrey Bezos. And so, but Ultra Pro has had part of the problem that board game publishers have had for many years, which is there's fakes out there. There's a bunch of fakes out there. And we even had an ad campaign at Cool Stuff at one point to say, like, all of our stuff is authentic. We don't randomly buy stuff and pull it all together like Amazon and Big Box do. Like, we make sure we get it directly from the distributor, directly from the production house or whatever. And yeah, because there's a lot of fake stuff out there. It's gross. Okay then. So before we get to splash damage, well, I guess to splash damage, we're going to check out our newest sponsor, Cardamajigs, that has a Kickstarter for Cubamajigs Series 2 right now. You can go check out their Cubamajigs, or reusable booster packs, rather, for Magic Cube and more. Check out the Kickstarter at CubeKS.com. CubeKS.com. Go sponsor it. It's up to almost like 200K. That thing is crushing it.
It's more than that.
Oh, is it now? Oh, is it almost 300K? I couldn't remember where it was.
I think it's just shy of 300. I actually just did a video for them today.
Wow, well, there you go. That's awesome. Well, they're doing great, and we appreciate their sponsorship of the show. So, Reuben, you want to talk us through this some of the splash damage here?
No, I mean, I
don't
will.
Want to. I don't want to.
I will. Nobody wants to.
I don't want to.
So,
I don't want to make NERDGirl do this.
Hey,
I don't even know what it is.
Hi, everybody.
All right.
Let's talk about Activision Blizzard. Which has this, it's that time of the show.
Mm-hmm.
So the California Department of Fair Management and Housing filed a lawsuit against Activision Blizzard for discrimination. There was a lengthy statement. There was lots of Twitter threads, and then there was a Kotaku article that came out at a very awkward time, in my opinion. During the whole debacle, it actually happened. So yesterday there was a walkout at Blizzard that was in support of the employees who were discriminated against and other employees who spoke up and were the whistleblowers and all of that. This has been a long time coming, from what I understand, from people who've worked at Blizzard. And have worked specifically at Blizzard since the Activision takeover. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of resources out there to read about it. I'm not the most knowledgeable, but it is the biggest thing that happened in gaming this week.
Yes, it's a lot. And and this is all horrible and it's gross and none of it looks good. And it honestly points towards just like the Screen Actors Guild, you need a union for video game employees. It's never really going to get fixed. You're going to have these weird half measures. Maybe a couple people get fired or whatever, but nothing truly fundamentally is going to change, particularly in terms of salaries. And people were discussing, hey, how much do you make doing so and so? And in the middle of all this, right, in the middle of all this kind of talk about Blizzard, it kind of comes out that one of Wizard's previous employees noted that he tweeted, he quoted himself talking about his pay at Wizards, which was $80K plus a bonus, and he's now making a $141K bonus at Bungie, along with a $30K signing bonus, which is a lot of money. Yep. Basically talking about what they describe as the Wizards tax, or it's even further in the gaming tax. If you work in the gaming world, it's similar for sports. If you work in the sports world or the gaming world, because you love it, you'll get less pay. You'll get, less compensation as a result. And that was sort of kind of what it was about. But one of the things he had mentioned, though, was he said, Wizards folk pay attention. Other places have great benefits, too. And their CEO doesn't mock you for asking for better ones in front of the whole company. And it was like, I'm sorry, what? Did we just spill some tea here? I believe the tea is all over the table. And we now have to discuss the tea. And so somebody was like, I'm sorry, blah, 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 what? And he said, I had literally stood up to him 2 years in a row at our all hands and asked why they were willing to use my daughter's face to raise money for charity, but didn't provide good enough health care for her to live. This was after I raised my hand for the third year in a row. And Robert, if you don't know, has sort of famously, he's had all sorts of issues with his daughter and getting her help and treatment and all sorts of medical problems, which have been absolutely terrible, but he's been incredible making his way through that stuff, which is ridiculous. And he says, hilariously, this was his third meeting or whatever, he was not going to ask about benefits when the CEO joked, oh, it's Robert, time to ask about our benefits again. And it's it's so horribly tone deaf, just so grossly tone deaf, because we know when you're at the CEO type level, that man is swimming in cash right now. That boy has so much money. He's got his money's making money on top of their money. And he will never in a million years feel anything close to the squeeze that Robert has had with his own daughter and his own problems getting his family and their health care. And from reports I've seen, Wizards' healthcare options, not great. And their costs are pretty high. And there are better health options at other companies. So it was just one of those, it was a little, you look behind the curtain and you're like, whoa, oof. That's an oof moment. And that's where we were.
Man, so many thoughts. One is, I believe that the walkout was in response to the response, because the response to the response is always worse, right? We always say that's what'll get you. And And now there are rumors, or I believe it's rumors, perhaps confirmed, that they are hiring union buster kind of people, like the kind of people that Amazon hires,
Right.
and Walmart hires to make sure that unions don't happen.
Right.
But there are rumblings that there might just be a general game dev union, sort of like the Writers Guild.
Yes, which I think would be a fantastic addition to the industry.
Which would be wild if it actually happened, because just like the Writers Guild was kind of a product of decades of work across dozens of companies. If that happens here, excellent. But that is a huge undertaking for someone.
It would just be a watershed moment, because right now you have the situations where people will get fired after they work on games for years, and they'll take them out of the credits. They'll just remove their name out of the credits because they can. There's no guarantee that you get your name on a piece of, on any product that you've actually spent your time on. And that's just one of the myriad of issues.
But of course, what Activision Blizzard has done is reprehensible, and
oh Lord,
is
it's pretty awful. I'm not going to go through it. I assure you, it's gross. Don't have time for that. But that said, NERDGirl, any thoughts on that horribleness?
I mean, I think one of the biggest problems that they're having that's making it like part of the reason they did the walkout and everything is because there's been like leaked like inside emails and stuff that have been pretty weird and awkward, and like basically denying that a lot of the things have happened. And the people that work there are so, upset about it that they're just instantly leaking anything that they get told. There are like sites up where a lot of them, like you said, are sharing their income levels. So that way, I think a huge part of this stems from the gender inequality. So that, making sure that their female counterparts are getting paid, equal. And that's actually what the major part of the lawsuit, I think, is about as well. So that's just, there are so many people. And also we have content creators who are stopping to stream Blizzard games during the walkout day. I know like even Brian Kibler stopped streaming. So like there is a lot of people up in arms about this subject. So it's not going away anytime soon.
Yeah, and that was a lot of money where your mouth is. I mean, that's that's how he makes his money. That's how he lives, and that's a whole day that just got cut out because he was showing some solidarity there. So good luck to those. I hope it ends well. Let's turn the corner here to the finisher. The longest running kids animated program in history is coming to a close soon, as after 25 years, Arthur is saying goodbye to the public broadcasting system. After a quarter of a century teaching kids and sharing laughs and making angry Arthur ball fist memes, it's a sad day for aardvark and arithmetic aficionados alike. But tell me, which PBS program is the most formative for you, Ruben?
Mooney plays, keeping the duels away, on my way to winning by turn 3. Can you tell me how to get to Blue Moon Street? How to get to Blue Moon Street?
Wow. NERDGirl?
I have no song prepared. I have no idea.
No song necessary.
No, you're good.
Sorry. How do you follow that up? That's just not fair.
Just read the joke.
Yeah. The joke there at the bottom.
Yeah, it's in the thing. It's in the.
I don't even have that page up. I'm sorry.
It's okay. She was not aware.
Oh no! I wrote a joke for everybody.
He writes a joke for everyone.
I remember you telling me there was a joke, but I thought that was for the 1 year thing.
Oh well, no, I do it for every episode. You're okay. Good.
So open the doc.
I didn't write your joke. Yeah, open the doc and scroll down.
Open the doc. Scroll down to the finisher. You'll see there's a bit there that shows you. All you got to do is read it. No song necessary. You don't have to
sing yours.
Ruben, could you just do my joke for me this week? I'll make up for it next
week. I will do the joke this week. All right.
First time problems, I swear.
It's all right. Pretend that I'm NERDGirl reading this one. All right. Seatbelts, everyone. It's time for a ride on the Magic School Bus. I'm your teacher, Miss NERDGirl, and let's get ready to take chances, make mistakes, and get platinum.
It's a beautiful day at the pre-release, a beautiful day for a game day. Would you be my? Could you be my? Won't you be my two-headed giant partner? Yay! And that ends another live episode of Magic Mics. Thanks for joining us here to discuss all things Magic. Thank you, NERDGirl.
You said you were going to put me in the deep end. I didn't think it was that, though. But
you didn't think it was, but it is. Thank you, Ruben.
Hey, this was great. Thank you so much. I am excited that we're still doing this show.
We are still here. You can't get rid of us. Let's move on here to our final slide. I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, our co-sponsors, CardHoarder.com, and Alter Sleeves, using the code MagicMikes on AlterSleeves.com, of course. My co-host, NERDGirl and Ruben Bressler, also the Cuba Majigs folks, and check out their Cuba Majigs 2 Kickstarter. You guys for watching and listening, and we hope you support us at patreon.com/MagicMikes. Please follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe to everything social that tells people we exist. Catch us online on our Discord, twitch.tv at MagicMikes, on Twitter at MagicMikesCast, our Magic Mikes subreddit, and like the Magic Mike's page on Facebook, or join us here next week, same time, same place, for another episode of Magic Mikes. Good night, everybody.